Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from. We'll just give a minute for Tosin to join in. Okay, Tosin is here. Hi, Tosin. Thank you, Happiness. How's everyone doing? So we have a very short time to do this. So I'll go first and I'll share briefly. And afterwards, Tosin will come on and then Tosin would share. And then we can then have opportunities to ask questions. You can direct them to either Tosin or myself. Okay, so I'm just going to share my screen quickly. And I'm going to speak to, please let me know when you can see my screen. I'm just going to share 2 slides and I'm going to speak to it real quick before we then bring Tosin on and she shares what she has for us. Can everybody see my slide, please? Can everyone hear me? Can you see my slides? Please respond. Okay, let me check out the chat. Lizzie, can you speak? I really can't see the chats. Can everyone hear me?
Your slide.
Yes, we can hear you, Chinenye. How are you?
I'm well, Tosin. How are you? Glad to have you here. Fantastic. So I'll just go on. And the summary of what I'm going to be sharing, I have put them into 4 keywords. I love acronyms a lot. Personally, that's how I learn. So when I'm trying to learn anything new or share anything new, I try to put them into acronyms. So it's easier for people to remember, and it's also easier for people to identify with it. So the acronym that I have for this short presentation is APEC. We're talking about how to thrive in 2023 financially, okay? And so I want us to talk about what are the things that we need to do to be able to thrive financially in 2023. I'll start with this quote from Benjamin Franklin, and it says, "Beware of little expenses. A small leak will sink a great ship." So you have to be aware, when you have a ship and there's a small leak, if it's not fixed, water can easily enter through that leak and then go into the rest of the ship. And before you know it, the ship is sinking because of the weight of the water. So I'm going to talk about 4 key things that I believe that we need to do if we want to thrive financially in 2023. So the first one is A for analyze, P for plan, E for execute, C for check-in. So I'll start with A, analyze. First of all, you have to understand where you are, right? We're talking about how we can thrive financially, how we can thrive in 2023 financially. So the first question is why? Where am I? As of today, how am I doing financially? If I take a financial test, how am I doing? So I need to understand where I am. I need to be able to analyze myself properly, understand where I am, and then be able to plan to get where I want to be in 2023 so that I can thrive financially. Okay? And part of that analysis, part of understanding where you are, is that you have to be able to review all of the relevant statements. So starting with your bank statement, if you have a statement of your assets, of your financial position, if you have your statement of your assets and your liabilities, your bank statement typically shows you your income and expenditure. For some people, that's all they have, and that's fine. But some other people, they have assets, landed properties, a number of other stocks and bonds, a number of other things that are assets. And some other people have debts, right? In addition to the income and expenditure that has flown through the bank statement, they also have debts, money loans that they have collected that they need to repay. So you need to have a track of all of these things, review all of those things and find out what your financial position is at the moment. If you need to speak to an advisor, by all means, please do that. If you need to speak to someone that will help you do a proper review so that you can have a better understanding of how you are doing, how you are faring financially, please do that. And then after you have done this analysis, after you have reviewed your bank statements, after you have seen the expense line that takes the most of your salary or the most of your income, after you have noted all of these things, what is the next thing that you need to do? You need to plan. So in terms of planning, the first question that you need to ask yourself is, what does thriving financially in 2023 mean for you? So if we're talking about thriving financially in 2023, ask yourself, what does that mean for you? For some people, it might mean owning a new house. For example, for some people, it might mean renting an apartment. For some people, it might mean being able to afford a luxury holiday. Whatever thriving financially in 2023 means for you, you need to have it written down, define that plan. And after you have defined that plan, define what it's going to cost you. And you can draft a budget of how you can get from where you are at the moment to where you need to be. So there's this rule that says, so your budget is your income is your 100%. And then you spend in a ratio of 50, 30, 20. 50% goes to your needs, your rent, for instance, your feeding, for instance, your transportation costs, for instance, all of the necessities, they are your needs. 30% goes to your savings and your investments. And then 20% goes to your wants, every other thing. You want a new bag, you want a new shoe, you want to be able to go to the movies. Again, it's a rule. It's not a fixed rule. Here, I would say, do you. Comes back to the first question. What does thriving financially in 2023 mean for you? There was a time in my career when I first started, the first 2 years of my career, there was a time I was saving as much as 60, 70% because I knew what I wanted to achieve at that time of my life, right? So when you ask yourself the question, what does thriving financially in 2023 mean for you? What do you want to achieve? Then how can you navigate your income to achieve that thing that you need to achieve? If it's a luxury holiday, for instance, and you need, for example, you need 1 million naira for that holiday, and your rent and your salary is at 200,000, for example. If we do 50% of 200,000, that's 100,000. So that means you can only spend 100,000 for your rent, for all of the necessities, your rent, your feeding. If we follow this rule, that is 50% goes for your necessities, your needs. So the rent, the feeding, 30% goes to your investment and savings. 30% of 200K gives you 60K. And then 20% goes to your wants, all the other things that you want. That's if you're following the 50, 30, 20 rule. Your wants could be a new bag, a new shoe, whatever it is. But the key here is that what you spend should be what is left after your saving. Because you have defined your financial plan of what you want to achieve at the end of the year, right? Your focus and your emphasis should be on spending what is left after you have saved, not saving after you have spent, because that is one key mistake that we make. When we get the money, when we collect the salary, we go to town and we spend everything, or we spend most of it. And then when we're down to like 10%, 20%, we then remember, oh, I have not actually saved anything for this month. I have not actually invested anything for this month. That's not the way it works. It should be the other way around. Your saving, your investment should be your priority because you know the financial goal that you have defined and you're working towards. Okay, so you spend what is left after you have saved. And of course, another advice is for you to diversify your income stream. So for your income stream are all of those streams that give you income, that gives you money. So your salary is one of those, is your income stream. For some people, it's only their salary. But if you're a resident in Nigeria, you're living in Nigeria, you know that in the time and seasons that we're in, your salary should not be the only income stream that you have. All right. So you should also, as part of your financial plans to thrive financially in 2023, have a plan to diversify your income stream. Monetize your skills if you need to. You know, for people that have speaking skills, writing skills, analytical skills, what is that thing that you can do best? What is that thing that you're very proficient and efficient at? Go online. There are so many online platforms. You know, Pay Per Hour is there. Upwork is there, freelance.com, so many online websites that we can monetize our skills and earn extra income from there. And of course, we can also earn income from investments, all right? But I'll let Tosin speak to that because herself and the amazing team at Money Africa, yeah, they've been doing a fantastic job of providing financial literacy to people. So I'll let her speak to that when she comes up for her session. So analyze, A, P, plan, and afterwards, execute. So after you have analyzed, after you have planned, the next thing to do is go to action, all right? Start execution. If you need to put a standing order in your bank accounts, please put a standing order in your bank accounts. So a standing order that says, for instance, if your salary is 200K, I'll still use that example, and you have calculated the percentage of your savings, of what needs to go to your savings, and you have decided, okay, I'm going to take 30% of my salary to my savings every month, you can put a standing order to your account, to say 30% of 200K, 60,000 naira. So standing order, debit so account, and channel it to another account that goes directly to your savings and your investments. That way, you are not tempted, or you are not tempted to use the funds, or you're not tempted to spend what you should have saved. Okay, so if you need to get a standing order put a standing order in your account, by all means, please do that. And concerning your investment streams, please diversify your investment streams. There are so many forms of investment, but make sure that it is diversified. If it's agrotech, don't have all of your investments in agrotech. Make sure that you have a spread. That way, if anything happens to any stream of your investment, you are protected. All right, all the other streams are sort of protected. And then, of course, if you need to join an accountability partner to hold you accountable, or if you need to join a community to hold you accountable for the execution of these plans that you have defined in step 2. Remember, we said step 1 is to analyze, step 2 is to plan, step 3 is to execute. If you need to get an accountability partner to hold you responsible for the execution, please do that. If you also need to join a community that can hold you responsible for the execution of the plans that you have defined, please do that, because it then helps you to be more accountable. Of course, you then know that you are not the only one involved. Yes, it's your money, but there are other people interested in your financial freedom. There are other people interested in that journey that you've decided to work on. There are other people that can keep you accountable and hold you to that financial plan that you have made, okay? And then the last thing would be to check in, all right? If you have defined, if you have agreed, or if you have an accountability partner, or if you have joined a community, there should be a defined check-in method. It can be weekly, it can be monthly, it can be quarterly, it can be biannually. You can also use your apps to do your check-ins. There are so many apps. Money Africa has an app called Ladder. There is also an app called Reach that you can use to track your investments, track your savings, and you can also use that to see how you're doing, see how you're trending, review your status, and check in. But it's important that you check in so that if you do need to do a course correct, you can notice that immediately and course correct and be able to achieve the plan that you have defined for that period. Okay? So if need be, the final thing I'll speak to, if need be, please reset. Reset means go back to analyze, go back to planning, go back to execution, go back to checking. That you have done it at the beginning of the year, or that you have done it in December in anticipation for January 2023 does not mean that, oh, it's cast in stone. It has to be that way from January to December. As you do your check-ins, as you do your reviews, as you review your status, if there is a need for you to go back to reanalyze or update your plan to fit into the current status that you are in. Maybe you've had a promotion, or maybe you've changed jobs, or maybe you've transitioned, you've jackpot, and you've left Nigeria. And there's a need for you to then update your plan to fit into your current circumstance. Please go back, do your analysis, do your planning, do your execution, and of course, your checking. So in conclusion, there's this saying that little drops of water makes the mighty ocean. Most of the time, we just want to come into wealth, right? But we don't want to take time to go through the process. This is my reminder to you that you do need to go through the process. You do need to analyze, you do need to plan, you do need to execute your plans, and you do need to check in so that as you As you start and you are consistent with these steps, at the end of the day, you will be able to meet your financial goals for the year 2023, and you'll be able to thrive financially. Thank you so much, everyone. So I'm going to pass it on to Tosin to speak, and then afterwards we can take questions. But if you do have any questions, now is a good time to just put it in the chat, so that when Tosin is done, we can then take questions before we go back to the main room. Over to you, Tosin.
Thank you so much, Chinenye. I enjoyed your session so much. Okay. Just give me a few minutes and then I'll be sharing my slides with us. So, okay, where is, sorry. Okay, I'm trying to, sorry, 1 minute, guys. I'm just trying to see how to expand.
We can't see your screen though.
Oh, you can't?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great, you can. All right, I'm looking for the button that enables me to have like a proper view. Sorry, just a minute.
Okay.
Okay, guys, you know what? Let's go with this. I'm not finding that button now. Good evening, everyone. My name is Oluwatosin Olaseinde. I have 15 minutes and I'll try and make it as swift as possible. Today, I'll be talking primarily about two things. Number one, to remind us that financial independence is actually very slow. And number two, we'll be talking about the mindset of money. So those are the two things I'll cover in the next 15 minutes. I'm timing myself. Now, contrary to what we always hear, sometimes people even say, oh, you're running Money Africa. You always talk about money. You're probably a billionaire and things like that. What people do not realize is this: building wealth is actually very slow. Now, contrary to what is out there, you will probably hear about a person in their 20s raised $5 million, raised $10 million, and all those really big amounts of money. But if you check the research, the age of the average successful entrepreneur is actually 40, right? Now, there are people in their mid-20s putting so much pressure on themselves, asking themselves, you know, why haven't we hit those goals? If you look at, for instance, Apple listed on the stock exchange for the first time in 1987. That was approximately 35 years ago. They went on to be the first trillionaire company in the world, but it's just showing you the amount of time that it took them to build that amount of wealth. So wealth is slow, contrary to what you've heard. Everybody keeps talking about Warren Buffett, about him being such a great investor. But how many people talk about the fact that he started investing at the age of 10? And when last I checked, I think he's about 92 years old. So he's been there for about 82 years, right? So it's a long-term play. I want us to change how we look at money. I want us to be comfortable with money growing. I want us to be comfortable with the fact that it's actually not fast. So I want us to get into the scenario and take this test with me. Now, according to research by Stanley and Danko, it takes the average millionaire 22 years to accumulate $1 million from the time he or she gets serious about his or her finances. You can see that this is the average, right? It gets even worse. Some people would never see that amount of money in their lifetime, but we are doing this class so that hopefully you can get to see, right? It takes a long period of time. Now, guys, bring out your pen and bring out your calculator. Let's say I'm 25 years old. I started NYSC. I'm earning 100,000 naira from the government and from my private, what do they call that thing? The PP, the company that actually pays me. On a monthly basis, I'm investing 20,000 naira every month. I'm getting 10% per annum, and I'm retiring at 65. Let's take that again. I'm investing 20,000 naira every month. I'm getting 10% per annum, and I have 40 years till I retire. How much would I walk away with? There's a right answer, but wrong answers are welcome. I'm begging you to please indulge me in this exercise and try and come into the comment section and let me know what your answer is. It's very important that we all participate. Thank you. So I'm going to give you about 30 seconds to 1 minute. Take the question again. I'm investing 20,000 naira every month. I'm getting 10% per annum. And I'm doing this for the next 40 years till I retire. All right, guys. So please try. And let me know what your answer is. I'm patiently waiting. Feel free, bring out your pen, bring out your paper, and come into the comment section. Indulge me. Thank you. So I'm waiting. It's 10 seconds. Let's go, guys. Don't be shy. Remember, we're all learning, so don't be shy to put in your answer. I just want to see how you process it. Thank you so much, Lizzie, for being very bold and being our first person. Lizzie is saying it's actually 960,000. Thank you, Lizzie. Can somebody else take a shot? Please, somebody else take a shot. We want to see your answer. Remember, it's 20,000 naira. I'm investing on a monthly basis continuously. I'm getting 10% per annum, and I'm doing this for the next 40 years. Okay, thank you so much, Idowu Oluwaseun, 19.2 million naira. Thank you so much. One more person, and I'll be sharing the answer with you. It has to be compounded. So happiness is saying if not compounded, it is compounded. So let's go. So one more answer, because technically, happiness did not answer our question. One more person, and we are good to go. One more person. Thank you so much for all the participants. One more person, I'm sharing the answer. Thank you so much, Alamudami Lola. The actual answer is, guess what? It is 211 million naira. And you're probably like, oh my gosh, Tosin, are you kidding me? I'm not kidding you. I am dead serious. This is the power of compounding. So you're seeing here that this person is compounding over a period of time, and that's how it works. Now, somebody else will tell me, Tosin, I started in my mid-30s. So let's say I was 35 and I started to do it, right? I'll be getting about 76 million. I would have lost 135 million because I started 10 years later. So many people are already in their mid-30s and they're feeling sad that, oh my gosh, it's too late. It's not too late. If you want to play catch up, you can double your hustle. You can see in this other category here, the person is doing about 50,000 naira per month, and you're seeing that that's about 200 million naira. This is the reason why we're doing this. We just want to show people how this wealth actually adds up. The problem is questions like, number one, Tosin, what institution can I trust for the next 40 years? Will they still be around? If we're being honest, the institutions in Nigeria are relatively young, right? Nigeria is only about 63 years old in terms of independence, right? So I really do get that institutions are young, like relatively, but you can do it. There's some really big names out there. Would they give me 10%? That's a very good subjective question, right? It varies. So can we invest in such a way that we're looking at a 10% average? Another question that a lot of people will ask is to look at the naira to the dollar, and that's true. By the time we hit retirement, I'm in my mid-30s, it could be 2,000 naira to the dollar, it could be 5,000 naira to the dollar. I don't know what it's going to be, right? So you're also thinking, how can I invest in dollar-denominated funds so that way, you know, I'm protecting my assets? But the purpose of this particular screenshot is just to show you the power of compounding. Some people have 20,000 naira to invest. Some people have 50,000 naira to invest. Some people even have 100,000 naira to invest monthly. Some even have more. Our purpose is not to look at the other person's purse, but to make the most of what we have and to not ignore that 20K. So that 20K could be somebody's Owambe outfit. That 20K could be going out with the boys. That 20K could be money that you just cannot account for. So I don't want you to belittle that little amount because you think it's useless. If you compound it, it actually works. So I want everybody to walk away from this session just saying the power of compounding. Those little drops, truly and truly, they really do add up, right? So that's one thing we want to speak about. Let me quickly go. I have 5 minutes left. Now, we have 4 categories of people. Category 1 are people who do not save or invest. For the purpose of this analysis, I'm not speaking about Mama Ebuka or Mama Tosin that is by the streets selling corn and ube. No. They are living from hand to mouth. They are not the people we're talking about. We're talking about people that have a discretionary income. A discretionary income is what is left after you have taking care of all your expenses, right? So the things that you need to survive, you paid rent, you paid electricity, you've paid school fees for those that have children, you've paid for transportation, all those key things that you need to survive. After you've paid everything, what is left is what is called a discretionary income. If you have that and you're not saving, you fall in under category 1. Category 2 are people that save too little. Let me take you back quickly to the screen here. You can see what's happening here. If you had the capacity to be doing 50K every month, but you were doing 20K, you can see what the cost is. The price is so high. So you should be investing at the capacity that you should be investing at. Number 3, Category 3 are people that save to consume. They go on holidays, they buy cars, which is fine. Nobody came to this world to suffer, meaning that you're making money because you want to enjoy. I am a big believer in enjoying, live in a good place, go on holidays, but we want to do it what? Balancing. So we are investing and we are also living a decent life, right? Category 4 is where we want you to be at. There are people that save to invest in the long run. So they're investing in real estate funds, they're investing in mutual funds, they're investing in all those things, right? And that's where we want you to be at. So now what do you want us to do, right? We really, really want you to transition from category 1 to category 4. Fantastic. So let's do a quick recap. Achieving financial independence is actually very slow. I want you to walk away from here knowing that you can invest with what you have and the power is compounding, seeing those little drops add up till this bottle gets filled up, right? Number 2 is that there are 4 different categories, and we want you to be on category 4, where you are invested in the long run and also living a relatively decent life, right? It is possible. You can do both at the same time. Now, let's go to the last part that we want to cover in this session, right? Okay, so I really, really love this story a lot, and I try to tell it as much as I can. Anybody at the end of this year, please go and pick up the book called The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. I'm just going to quickly type that into the comment section, right? Forgive my spelling, you know what, just fix it, don't apologize. Okay, I fixed my correction. Sorry, I fixed the error. Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. Hold on a minute. Okay, great. So let me tell you this story. It's between 2 investors, another of whom who knew each other, right? But whose path crossed in an interesting way. Grace Groner, she was orphaned at the age of 12. She never married. She never had kids. She never drove a car. She lived most of her life alone in a 1-bedroom house and worked her whole life as a secretary. It gets interesting. She was, by all accounts, a lovely lady, but she lived a humble life. That made the $7 million she led to the charity after her death in 2010 at the age of 100 all the more confusing. People who knew her asked, where did Grace get all that money from? But there was no secret. There was no inheritance. Grace took humble savings from a meager salary and enjoyed 80 years of hands-off compounding in the stock market. That was pretty much it. Now, weeks after Grace died, an unrelated investing story hit the news. Richard Foscon, former vice chairman of Merrill Lynch Latin American division, declared personal bankruptcy, fighting off foreclosure on 2 homes, one of which was nearly 20,000 square feet and had a $66,000 a month mortgage. Now, Foscon was the opposite of Grace Groner. He was educated at Harvard, University of Chicago. He became so successful in the investment industry that he retired in his 40s to pursue personal and charitable interests. But heavy borrowing and illiquid investments did him in. The same year Grace Groner left a veritable fortune to charity, Richard stood before a bankruptcy job and declared that he had been devastated by the financial crisis. The purpose of this story is not to say you should be like Grace and avoid being like Richard. It is to point out that there is no other field where the stories are even possible. How does a Grace Groner leave $7 million to charity when she dies, and Richard Foscon of Harvard, of Merrill Lynch, was left bankrupt? Guys, at the end of the day, building wealth is about the mind. Many people will tell you, I did not come from a wealthy background. They will tell you, I did not study abroad. I did not go to fancy universities. But this is the only time personal finance investing is when it changes the game. You just need to have the right mind. So that's it from me, and over to the questions. Oh my gosh, I think we took up all the time. Over to you, Chinenye.
Thank you, Tosin. So we're going to take questions in the general room because the time is almost up. So we're going to have questions, so people can then direct their questions specifically to you. So you will then have another opportunity to answer particular questions. So if you do have questions, it will redirect us back to the main room. Please type it out for Tosin and then indicate that you want Tosin to answer that question. So question for Tosin, and then you can type out your question in the chat box and we'll pick it up from there. And Tosin will have an opportunity to respond to all of your questions. Okay? Thank you so much, everyone. See you in the main room. Thank you. Bye. See you in the main room.